everyone, and welcome to Field Tuning for the month of July. I'm Hoda, Intrepid Bodies, and today I'll be pulling cards to forecast the energetic themes that will present themselves for the month of July. I'm also aware that there is a pretty big Saturn transit happening, or Saturn stationing direct, I should say. Is it direct or retrograde? Never know. It's Saturn, um, I think going direct, and Neptune as well. So I am more than certain that these energies will show up, or that there will be something in this read for those who are tracking the planets in that way. And if you're listening to this on the Room Radio podcast, um, first of it, first of all, I want to say thank you. And I want to also direct you to the links at the bottom of the show notes, where you can essentially find ways to support and supplement field tuning and the Broom Radio in general. And there's also links to where you can join being a member and be a member and get all the perks and join containers like this live. So all that will be at the bottom of this episode. And I want to say special thank you to those who are here live during this container and those who are contributing to the magic that is going to happen here. So as I was prepping for this container, there was a card that fell out. And before I even get into the groups and start like kind of piecemealing today's message out, I would love to share this card. I haven't even looked at it yet, to be completely honest with you guys, because I like to be surprised as well. And what we have here is, the deck that I'm using as well, just so y'all know, is, I believe this is the Goddess Tarot by Kris Waldherr. So that's the one that I'm using today. So the card that came out is the Zoraya, the Sun card for this deck. And I would love to read it to y'all so that we can see kind of like what Spirit's directing our attention to before we even start with this reading. So let's see. Where is this card? I do kind of already get a sense of what the Sun card is pointing to. But I want to just read it because I also would love to learn a little bit about the Zoraya. So it reads the Sun. In Russian mythology, the three Zoraya are goddess attendants to the sun god, as well as bringing warmth and light to the world. The sun represents the brightness of intellect, creativity, and fertility. The meaning of this card is an expansive, life affirming energy, creativity, relationships with children, fertility, love, masculine or yang energy. Beautiful. Wow. The Zoraya. So this card is pictures three like kind of goddess attendants, the sun figure at the top. Instantly, kind of what I get from this card intuitively is that this reading, or that the message today is going to have to do with adaptability. Ironically, is going to have to do with like the idea of spreading one's wings, and so like growing in capacity. I also feel like this reading is going to have to do with maintaining one's sense of radiance in trying and troubling times. I guess also I feel like saying that usually that there's a lot of like heavy energy around like Saturn transits and also like larger like luminaries. And so I feel like this card lets me know that the message today is going to kind of bolster some of the heavy energies that we might have to kind of metabolize. And yeah, there might be something supportive for each of us here. So yeah, I'm also really piqued that this describes like masculine energy, yang energy, and how like it feels like these goddesses are also like representing how like a more femme-embodied way to work with yang energies without invoking all different types of like societal egregores to get shit done. So I'm looking forward to this. This is exciting. I'm gonna leave the card out here just so that maybe we can like circle back after the reading is finished. And yeah, let's start with group one. I'm gonna do what I usually do, which is like pull the cards for each group, let them face, leave them like face down, and then I myself am going to attend to them as we go through the groups. So I'll pull for group one. Good. Thank you so much for guiding us and bringing together all the pieces for this reading today and for field tuning. I would love cards for group one to guide, to reveal, to clarify. Ooh, 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 ooh. I love when the cards pull out before I even finish the invocation. To clarify things for folks who resonate with group one. Guiding cards for folks who resonate with group one. That was pretty big, so I'm going to pull that card out. Where did she go? Oh, nope, I lost it. Any more cards here for group one? Any more cards for group one? All right, group one, your cards are chosen or selected, I should say. All right, Spirit for group two. Guiding cards, messages, clarifying points for group two. Not only a face to say. Group two. Group two. I got a song on my heart for you, group two. That's beautiful. Okay, group two. It seems like the theme is going to be 4 cards for each group as well. And finally, for group three, any guiding messages, clarity points to support those who resonate with group three, support those who resonate with group three. Wow, the cards are kind of jumpy in my hands for group three too, so I have a feeling for group three, something's going to happen very fast. Yep, something happening for group. Ooh, group three, the energy, the energy, the energy. Yeah. The energy is up. Something very fast for group three. So that's super auspicious. We're looking for two, talking about that. A bit of lines. Is there any other messages for group three? 5. All right. Beautiful. So I took a chance to look at the bottom of the deck, which to me feels also related to like the anchor message or the energy that is anchoring the this reading. And we have the 3 of Cups. 3 of Cups, traditionally signifying celebration, sisterhood, the desire to have fun. And almost like, yeah, I would also say 3 of Cups to me represents the kind of like spiritual wisdom in fun. Like how like yeah, like there's spiritual wisdom in not only like desiring fun and craving it, but also like spiritual wisdom and knowing that like fun can really juice and be the juice to like one's path. And so that's really encouraging to me. The 3 of Cups also, I think for me, speaks to like inner unity as well. Like these parts of like oneself kind of like coming together to integrate, to celebrate. Um, so yeah, feels like yeah, I'm super excited. Okay, let's get into it. Let's get into it. So group one, I'm gonna read out the cards that came out first, take a photo, and then I'm gonna go from there. The first card that came out for group one is the Juno card. Juno in this deck represents tradition. The next card for group one is the Two of Pentacles. The Two of Pentacles. The next card for group one is the Seven of Swords. That's Seven of Swords. And lastly, we have the Six of Cups. The Six of Cups for group one. So I'll take this time to share the photos in the chat of the cards. Oh, let me make sure I'm putting them in order. And I'm also really piqued by first card being Juno. Juno relates to tradition in this deck, which I really love and I would love to explore with y'all. Yeah, there's some folks in the chat. Um, Nobu says this does not seem like an easy month, group one, to me. And no, I would not say that it's easy. I would say that it's probably going to be challenging in ways that are fulfilling. Um, but yeah, the Seven of Swords card really is speaking volumes. Anna writes, the Usurper card, lol. The Seven of Swords. I love that description, the Usurper. Nobu says, I'm gonna opt out of group one. Okay. Listen, just as much as y'all tune in and, feel into different timelines, just know you can always opt out. So thanks, Nobu, for introducing that possibility. So we have Juno. We have, I think the order that it came out was Juno, Two of Pentacles, the Seven of Swords, and then the Six of Cups. So for me, instantly, what I get from the Juno card is the traditions that we come up in and the traditions that we were like raised in. Yeah, like I'm even trying to think of the story astrologically as it relates to Juno, and I can't think of it right now. But what is coming up for me is like the ideation of like the dutiful daughter is in my mind's eye what Juno represents. And so even the way that she's being pictured on this throne, holding, I don't know what fruit that is in her hand, but um I think this also relates to like a Roman type of Juno, but without getting too much in the weeds of the card, I think it does have to do with restraints. I think Juno represents, especially for group one, you guys might be exploring themes that have to do with like restraints, exercising like boundaries for like yourself. Um and I feel like also Juno, there's something here in this card that has to do with like feminine regality and then like how ideas of regality like kind of change throughout time and our ideas of tradition change throughout time. So this does feel very Saturn coded, I will say. Um and so yeah, with the Juno card, is that the moon illuminated above her head? Yeah, that's the full moon. I do get the sense that group one, you might be kind of like again dealing with themes about like tradition related to tradition. I think also group one, when it comes to like these ideas of tradition, I think the rest of the spread is kind of speaking to how you may be finding yourself like juggling these different ideals throughout the month of July and like kind of choosing your path based on some of the traditions that align with you and like very well feel like, hey, like this is actually going to go past the threshold of my growth with me. And also like determine which parts of those ideals can't make it with like past the threshold of your change or your transformation or your growth as an individual. Um, and so the Two of Pentacles has this aspect of like an individual juggling these two coins, these two ideas of richness and abundance. And so group two, you might be kind of feeling, I mean, group one, you might be feeling like a fork in the road kind of vibe, but it also feels like there's a like bolstering message behind this that's like whichever path you choose, whichever direction, whichever coin you end up picking up, whichever ideal you feel is going to like motivate your life in this particular chapter or even in just this month. Um, there's no, like, wrong decisions, kind of feels like the resounding message between these 2 cards for group 1. And so if there are feelings of anxiety, if there are feelings like, "Oh my god, I feel like I need to look over my shoulder. I'm making big changes, and I'm not sure if I want, these old patterns to, like, make it with me." I do feel like that's what the 7 of Swords is narrating pretty directly for me. I'm gonna take a sip of my coffee. I'm gonna read what the 7 of Swords says in this deck. Let's see what it's all about, 'cause I'm curious. I wanna see, yeah, what the booklet says. So the 7 of Swords, it says the woman is trying to carry 7 swords, but only 5 will fit in her arms. As she looks over her shoulder, she hopes the swords left behind will not be used against her. Ooh, wow. As she looks over her shoulder, she hopes the swords left behind will not be used against her. The meaning of this card: the ability to defend oneself in difficult situations. However, energy should not be placed in recriminations. Need for caution and examination. Ooh, that is really, really powerful. Wow, that's way more complex than I would have assumed. So the card means, I'll read again, the ability to defend oneself in a difficult situation. However, energy should not be placed in recriminations, need for caution and examination. Ooh, this is giving kind of what I was speaking to earlier about the need to like exercise restraint. Um, and I'm kind of like feeling into like authentic moments of like why would one need to like exercise restraint? Isn't that being inauthentic? Like, shouldn't we have the right to just say whatever we want? And I'm like feeling into my body as I say that, and I'm like, that doesn't feel authentic. Like, I'm just kind of like tracing how, yeah, what's coming up for me right now in this reading is that group 1, like, exercising restraint is going to look different for each of us. And what we need to exercise restraint with is going to look different for each person. And group 1, there also might be, you know, a note here about doing that inner excavation work, talking to yourself, enlisting all parts of yourself in that inner dialogue to see where you can exercise restraint, not to like deaden that part of yourself or turn off different parts of yourself and like manipulate yourself into changing. This is about seeing what parts of you have like excessive awareness or excessive airtime, and the invitation being here to turning the volume down on those parts a little bit so that you can hear other parts of yourself, parts of you that reflect your integration, your growth, that reflect deep reflection actually happening, parts of you that reflect mindful awareness in the sense that you kind of know what's going on in your life and that you can speak to a full picture of something. And yeah, Julie says that that feels hella Saturn coded to me. And so yeah, it's like it's kind of deep what's coming up for group 1. Um I am feeling like I want to kind of pull a clarifier card, but I do want to get through the 6 of cups as well. Um Julie says this is like refined Saturn energy. I agree. Yeah. Wait, I also wanted to check the chat to see if Adam was here, but I think that Anna was just adding him because the 2 of Pentacles came up again. Yes, because I pulled this card in a different container for the solstice. So this feels like a pretty powerful theme right now. Um, yeah, Nobu asks, that's a great question. Anyone feeling like group 1? I'm gonna also read the 6 of Cups just to kind of finish off this reading for group 1. Because and I also want to say group 1, it's not like, yeah, I feel like it's a threshold, to say the least, that the cards are describing me being at. Let's do the 6 of Cups. Child, where are these cups? Okay, here they go. Okay, the 6 of Cups. The 6 of Cups represents, it says here, pulled by the moon's gravity, the tide has risen and flooding around the 6 cups. They are filled with flowers as an offering to Venus, symbolizing the rejuvenate aspect of the divine feminine. The meaning of this card, alluding to a harmonious home, children, and childhood memories, longing for the sweetness and the innocence of the past. Yes, this is so interesting. This is so interesting. I'm going to read it again. Pulled by the moon's gravity, the tide has risen and flooded around the 6 cups. They are filled with flowers as an offering to Venus, symbolizing the rejuvenate aspect of the divine feminine. This card means harmonious home, children, excuse me, childhood memories, longing for the sweetness and innocence of the past. It's interesting because this card didn't come in reverse, but I am being called to read the reverse. And it says, the need to incorporate the past and perhaps painful memories into the present. Ooh, integration station. Wow. Thank you, Spirit. That is pretty direct to me. Um, in the sense that I do feel like group one, just kind of sum up what you're walking away with here, is the balancing act of your present self, your past self, who you thought yourself to be, who you are becoming, these different polarities that have to do with identity and self concept, how they relate to like your future. And I am going to pull a clarifying card for this group because I do think that it's like usually I want to like end a group with like actionable items, but I actually don't have anything coming through as like an actionable for this group. So I'm going to pull one more card that speaks to what group one could do with their energy, how they could best cultivate their energy for the month of July. And we have the Four of Swords. And so I'll share this with y'all. Again, this relates to group one for those listening asynchronously. And I just popped it in the chat as a clarifier. Nobu said rip group one. That's hilarious. Yes. So the Four of Swords, give my regards to Anubis Ashe. The Four of Swords represents a woman in rest and recuperation. The Four of Swords, suspended above her, protects her from the outside world. This card means the need for introspection and healing, recuperation from illness, taking time to break from stressful situations. When this card is in reverse, it means enforced isolation, loneliness, and more recovery time needed. And so it hasn't come out in reverse. But what I will say for group one is take your time. This Saturn transit is going to bring up a lot and surface much for you, but you have the entire month to work through it. Take as much rest as you need, but be sure when you're resting, you're not just forgetting yourself. Allow that energy of the Six of Cups to meet you or sit somewhere in your field and remind yourself of the regenerative power of rest and taking time away as opposed to relying on this time away being isolation and absolving you of any responsibility in life. Because that's what we're not doing. You feel me? All right, group one, how y'all feeling? Y'all all right? I'll take a sip of my coffee. Nova said in the chat weekly. Yay. Julie's shared a fire ass gif in the chat. This lady sliding down a pink couch. When Nobu said, "Give my regards to Anubis," Lexi shared a gif of Samuel L. Jackson saying "every damn day" in a really blue like area. I say. Julie said that's what the clarifier reminded me of. I know the four swords just came in like spirits like, just take it easy, group one. Just take it easy, group one. All right, y'all ready for group two? All right, let's see. Group two, what you got? What you got? All right, I'll take the photos first and then narrate them as they're being, as you know, the photos are making their way to the chat. Spirit, is this card in reverse? Yeah, it is. Curious if anybody is feeling into group two in advance. Oh, I see Nobu said it in the chat. Ooh, group two, this is fire. Let's go. So group two, get comfortable. Ooh, this is ripening for me. Okay, group two. What we have first in order is the two of staves, the two of staves, which is usually the two of wands. So we have the two of wands. We have the seven of wands in reverse, or the seven of staves in reverse. The next card is the two of swords upright. Ooh, these cards are so Venusian, y'all. I'm like seeing seashells, lotus flowers, gorgeous. Oh my God. And lastly, we have the Prince of Cups. The Prince of Cups with the pearls on his wrists and on his neck. This is gorgeous. So starting, I think just kind of taking this card by card for group two, instantly what I get is the two of staves is picturing this young woman with two sticks, staves representing passion, representing fire, representing those instinctual drives. This young woman has two staves, one on her left and one on her right, overlooking what seems like a path she's getting ready to walk on. And allegorically, these two staves in the traditional tarot and even in the goddess tarot kind of connect to fecundity and like having this like inner well of resources, you know, like what's coming to mind is like, oh God, there's so many different metaphors coming to mind, but the two of staves in this particular example for group two, I think kind of represents how you guys are coming into this month, like what kind of energetic reserves you have coming into this month, which is super dope because it speaks to y'all feeling like charged up, you know? And so, so I'm just laughing at the chat. So two of staves means or represents group two and individuals in group two having this clarity of vision, but from like a very deep and instinctual place. So you might not have the words and language just yet to explain to people the clarity of your vision, but you can see the path. You've packed all the necessary things, allegorically speaking, for this path. And it's like you're right at the beginning, just kind of ready to go, is what this two of staves represents to me. It's really beautiful. But the story continues, right? We have the seven of staves in reverse. I'm gonna read this card because yeah, this card actually has a couple of different meanings in a couple of different decks that I work with. So I just want to make sure that I'm reflecting this one. Most accurately. Let's see. Okay, the seven of staves reads, the hot sun scorches the woman. Using a stave to fight six others, she's unable to get out of the heat. Despite her position of advantage, she is still forced to defend herself. The meaning of this card is that though you may have the upper hand in this situation, there's still a struggle. Success is possible, but only after dealing with difficult people who may not be supportive. This card in reverse, which it is, represents indecisiveness in the face of opposition and feeling overwhelmed. Yes. Mhm. Boom, Nobu. Nobu just said, yes, in the chat. Contact without conflict, which represents to or relates to the tea container right before field tuning. It's a daily prayer container. You guys should totally join it. But that was the name of today's prayer. Contact without conflict. That's beautiful. Yeah, there's something really beautiful and poignant about this card being in reverse too, because yes, this is the card that usually represents just emotional overwhelm. You know, having tried and given situations your best and your all, and the solutions to those situations not finding you based on your own effort. Which to me, I feel like group two, this is speaking to how like the solution in whatever conflict or whatever tension you've been dealing with actually doesn't reside in you. That it means that like the other people, people who have the staves, the other people who have resources, it's time for them to like step up. And with this in reverse, I feel like um it would, if it was upright for me, what it would speak to group two is like, okay, y'all are dealing with this conflict right now, but because it's in reverse, it feels like you've kind of put down your swords. You're like, this is not my battle to fight, which is really beautiful going into like a new month. Because it also means that you're not going into this new month with excess energy that's like not yours, which is super, super sharp to me. There was one more thing coming up. Yes, when it says in the card meaning where it reads success is possible, but only after dealing with difficult people who may not be supportive. I'd love to pull a clarifying card because I can literally hear my spirits being like, hold on, baby, you got to break that one down right now because the idea of success only being possible through struggle is also something that maybe group two, maybe that's also going to come up for y'all or is coming up right now for to be reflected and maybe like transmuted into a new belief system. So let's see, sir, do you have any clarifying cards for the Seven of Spades for group two going into the month of July? New clarity for the Seven of Spades for group two going into the month of July. Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Two cards came out, and the cards that came out to clarify. The chat is amazing. Let's go, yo. Group two fucking breakthroughs are happening because the two cards that we had for to clarify this Seven of Spades in reverse is the Princess of Cups, which is like a recognition of like the innocence within yourself, and then the King of Pentacles, which is like that masculine regality that has the nerve to protect that innocence within you. So I don't know if y'all get the geometry that I'm putting down, but it feels like whatever trouble or sort of issue or shadow work that group two is doing feels like it's resulted in this integration um of this development and this maturation of one's own masculine energy, protective energy, and a maturation of one's own innocence and this collaborative effort between those two aspects of self, um working together, protecting one another, loving each other. And as those two come together, then um the struggle and the strife of feeling overwhelmed and being pulled to and possibly feeling like you're being pulled in a couple of different directions kind of subsides, you know. There's so much happening in the chat. I love it. Oh, there was also something else coming up for me before I went. Oh, dang. Okay, lots happening. I'm gonna put the Princess and the King of Pentacles to the side because I am gonna read the King of Pentacles, but before I do want to complete the reading for group two. And so yeah, we kind of already spoke to these themes. The next card that came up is the Two of Swords. And Two of Swords shows this blind, folded figure holding two swords. And Two of Swords represents making that concrete decision, right? So, like the Two of Pentacles from group one, if that one represents juggling possibilities, the Two of Swords almost represents juggling timelines, right? Juggling even the possibility of things coming into fruition. And so I feel like these cards are kind of intertwined. So we have the Seven of Spades, which kind of represented this triumph over internal um, rockiness. So group two, now we are looking at the Two of Swords that I think speaks to, um, wow, I feel like the Two of Swords for group two actually speaks to like this level of trust that's been cultivated and how like trust takes a lot of work to cultivate, but it also allows you to make decisions from a place of clarity and also trusting yourself enough to know that if that decision isn't the quote unquote best decision, air quotes around that, that's okay, that you have the strength to like recoup yourself is what the Two of Swords is giving. Almost like a psychic surrendering is what the Two of Swords is also rendering for me in this moment. So group two, um, you also might be kind of dealing with moments where in this upcoming month where you'll be faced with having to make decisions that, and I spoke to this earlier, that you'll have no reference point for, no logical like frame of reference, which to me honestly speaks to like blessings and like portals and huge integrative moments, rest, lavishry, luxury, because most people are not expecting that. And so for me, this is for group two, the Two of Swords is giving kind of expect the unexpected in a way that you'll encounter opportunities to say yes to certain things that otherwise you may have felt like you didn't deserve or you weren't quite ready for. So, and then we have the Prince of Cups as the last card, which I think really speaks to what I was just saying about that, allowing in things that would actually, ooh, like represent. Ooh, there's so much coming in for me right now on this Prince of Cups, but I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read it because I'm like my channel just got really wide. Oh snap! But I do want to say I'm curious if there's anything coming up for y'all. Ay ay ay. And let's see what this prince is talking about. I don't want to speak because I feel like the card booklet is going to say what I'm going to say. So I'm like, let me just save a little bit of my energy if I can. You know. So let's see. Hey, it's taking me a very long time to get to this. And here we go. So the suit of the cups represents the path of Venus. The element is the water and the moon, and the cups represents to or corresponds to love and the major arcana card 6, which I have no idea what that is. The suit of cups is associated with Venus, the Roman goddess of love and beauty. Cups symbolize, I was rolling my eyes at Roman because I'm like, anyways, cups symbolize the fertile and receptive aspect of the divine feminine, conceived and born of the fertile sea herself. Venus is the bringer of joy to the gods and humans as well as to the plant world. The cups preferred by Venus are an invitation for us to drink deeply of the magical waters of life, love, inspiration, and pleasure. They offer us our first experience of the divine feminine in her purest form. The Prince of Cups A gentle boy prefers a cup. The water within it is a magical potion. It can invite love, passion, creativity, or intuition into life. The meaning of this card: an invitation or an offer. Young children who, with their gentleness, allow one to experience innocence anew. Mm. So, this speaks to a very particular aspect of emotional fulfillment that I think goes just like a couple layers deeper than a general idea of innocence. Um, this idea of the cup representing a magical potion that invites love, passion, creativity, and intuition into life. But this card itself representing an invitation kind of speaks to, like, yeah, what I feel like was flowing through earlier. Like sometimes, like, God, it's like there's this paradox coming up for me right now. So I'm like, which way do I want to approach it? And it feels like the Prince of Cup is representing for group two, um, the magic, the majesty of welcoming things into your life, and how there's a little bit here too for group two on how magnetism is usually taught to us to cultivate, or how like the prevailing culture has these ideas of like how to cultivate magnetism, which, like, no shade, they absolutely work. They absolutely like do what they need to do. However, there's this like time honored ancient way of manifesting or connecting to that which is truly part of you. And I feel like the Prince of Cups is representing that. The magical potion that he holds in his hands, to me, represents the magical elixir of our own individual essence, and how that can't be duplicated, how that can't be spent, how that can't be bought, and how that part of our essence is also what brings us everything meaningful, lovely, beautiful, and also difficult in this world. And so for group two, I feel like this month is going to be like a resounding recognition of how much you can gain in life by not only just being yourself, quote unquote, but reveling and like honoring the majesty that is yourself. And I feel like the Prince of Cups is a beautiful, beautiful model for how you can engage in group two, this self love practice that goes deeper and past the wells of superficiality, and can touch not only like places of your own innocence, but help inspire you to continue moving from this like gentle and like tapped in place. Um, it's interesting because I am being called to read the reverse of this card, so I will read it. The Prince of Cups in reverse represents disillusionment with a relationship that promised more substance, fickleness of affection, and unreliable messages. And so this card isn't in reverse. And so to me, what I feel like this also speaks to is like the thing that actually protects us from fickle affection and unreliable people and unreliable messages and relationships that promise us more substance than they can give is actually what the Prince of Cups is doing, right? Like embodying his essence, embodying his truth, flowing from that gentle, um, yeah, embodied place is really what's coming up for me again to say. And so group two, yeah, I hope that there's something there for y'all. Um, and yeah, that's really beautiful. It's super encouraging. Lots of heart stuff. I'm looking at the chat now. I wasn't looking at the chat as I was channeling. Oh, nice. Anna, thank you for that. Anna says Major Arcana 6 card is the lovers, in case anyone else was curious. That's beautiful. Thank you. I have spoken. All right, who's feeling group 2? Do you feel like that was giving what needs to be gave? Oh, wait, I also said I wanted to read the King of Pentacles. Um, I'm not gonna read the King of Pentacles. I'll share it later. Um, Ashe. All right, let's move into group 3. But I want to check in with y'all, see how you guys are feeling. I'm gonna take a photo of the cards for group 3 in advance. And while I see folks sharing in the chat. Ooh, group 3 was the one I was getting all the vibes from too. Ooh, now I see why. Now I see why. Now I see why. Oh my gosh, the card is coming out very blurry, and I don't want that to happen. Thanks for your patience, y'all. Ah, shit. Ah, shit. Nabu says, I've been working all my life and ain't got nothing to show, but I ain't telling you nothing you don't already know. I've been working all my life and ain't got nothing to show because this world just don't want us to grow. Dead prez. This is for group 2. Nobu says, thank you. Ashe. What an offering. Nobu asks, what group are you feeling? I'm feeling group 3, actually. Yeah, let's get into it, group 3. So the first card that came up for group 3, I feel like I'm going to read myself, is the 8 of Staves, which represents the 8 of Wands. Directly after the 8 of Staves, we have the 9 of Staves, or the 9 of Wands, which already speaks to this like progressive, quick moving, ABC, 1, 2, 3 trajectory of events for you, group 3 this month. The next card we have is Temptation, which is represented by Nia Loro Kidul. Nia no Loru Kidul, which I haven't looked into yet, but this card is the card of temptation and it is in reverse. And the last card for this group is the Oya card, the card that represents strength with the goddess Oya. Yeah. Oh, wow. Good to know. Thanks, Nobu, for the reference. I was like, I need to look into um Nya Nya Naye Loru Kidul. I know I'm butchering it, and if anybody listening wants to help me out, please do. There's no shame in my game. Um
I
yes, for
feel
group.
like it might be. Sorry.
Hey, no, come on through.
I feel like it might be Nyailoro Kido.
Nayu Loru Kidu.
Nyailoro Kido.
No, I can't. Nayu Loru Kidu. Hey, Nadia just came through the chat. That's awesome. Yeah, I definitely want to learn more about this goddess too. Yeah, group 3. Okay. I'm curious if anybody is feeling group 3. Just let me know in the chat. We have the 8 of Staves, which represents quick paced movement based on instinctual repertoires coming together and coalescing. So, what does that mean? Group three in July, things are going to happen fast. I do get the sense that group three represents a group of people who have probably been working with some of the themes of Saturn before Saturn did its thing that it's doing in the sky now, with all due respect. And so I feel like the quickness and the rapidity of events that are going to unfold for group three is actually just like a representation of work that's been done in the background. So, that's actually kind of like really cool how stuff happens like that. And I'm taking a deep breath because I'm like, oh my God, that happens to me all the time where I kind of close a chapter on something or kind of do energy work. And what happens is like I kind of resolve how things make me feel. And I like wake up or stand up out of that meditation. And it's like I've woken up, honestly, in a new reality. And so I don't know if that's going to be real and present for group three, but I also have been working with themes of like reality surfing and have been kind of meditating and working with my guides on like rendering reality. So this is really interesting because it feels like that's the codes that may be coming through for group three is like how to not just manifest, but how to like render reality, which is very, I think, subtly different than just manifesting, let's say. Um, so it's a super interesting concept in quantum physics and quantum mechanics. And I can't say I fully understand it from that scope just yet, but it also really jives with the way that I personally work with and have heard other people work with like timeline mechanics. So for the woo of group three, if you are into that kind of work, I would say the first week or second week of July might be really clean, a good time to do that. Um, let's see. So, the next card is the Nine of Staves, and the Nine of Staves pictures this individual who has all her staves and all her resources lined up. Again, the staves here represents what we would traditionally call the wands in traditional tarot. And so the Nine of Staves, you have this individual who has all possible staves in this suits as opposed to the 10, right? 10 would represent having all the wands in this equation, but she has 9, almost all of them. And I think that this card speaks to, and I'll read what this card says, but to me, this card coming directly after the Eight of Staves represents this like progressive movement. This idea of like stepping through the portal that you create. This idea of like rendering a reality timeline and stepping on it to live through it. And so it kind of speaks to these like very like abstract, like uh vague mechanics, but I think it can be done simply by the work that I was like narrating, like metabolizing certain instances, doing the inner work, participating in alchemy if that's what your lineage does. And so group three, you're doing that work. July is the month that you're going to see the fruits of your own labor. Um, so that's pretty fire to me. I'm also going to read what the Nine of Staves says because feels juicy to me. Feels juicy for me. The Nine of Staves. Protected by a wall of staves, the woman rests for a moment to regroup her thoughts. There is still so much to do before success is secured. This card means a pause in work to reconsider plans. Completion is so close yet so far away. This card in reverse represents feeling overwhelmed by work and a break being needed. Mm, this is pretty fire to me. Hmm. Yeah, this is also giving the pause right before you like launch. Um Again, this felt very, very felt almost like animalistic sense of like checking your roost before you go back out in the hunt is also another image that's coming to me for group three. Um, and so, yeah, even though group three, you've done your work, this is also giving like don't rest on your laurels. Um, but we'll get into it as we get into these cards, the rest of the cards. So we have the temptation card, and I want to get to know this goddess. I'm so happy she came up today. Hmm. Ooh, this is so cool, y'all. I'm getting so many vibes. Okay, we have the temptation card, Naya Loru Kidul. Within the green waves of the Pacific Ocean resides the seductive mermaid goddess Nyaya Loru Kidul. Her powers reflect the temptation of illusion, of beauties which may be enslaving, of obsessions which control. The meaning of this card is being tempted by forces one cannot control, something deep within the psyche, a shadow, personified as temptation or addiction, sensual desires, gluttony, or envy. The reversed meaning of this card represents freedom from temptation. Ooh, ooh, sorry, y'all, I got excited. Hold on. Freedom from temptation, mastery over something previously controlling, a habit, a person, or a wound from the past. Ashe. This is huge for me, guys. I'm gonna check the chat and see what's coming up for y'all. Holy shit. Nobu says, this feels sober to me. There's so much going on in the chat, actually. Hold on, let's see. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Julie. Julie shared the etymons for render, it looks like, which means render, give back, make, and give back. Oh, let's go. I didn't even know it had that quality to it. No, we wrote manifesting from a centered and rested place. Yeah, that absolutely aligns. Group two and group three feel compatible to me. It does feel like it feels like group two is like the water of group three's fire and vice versa. Like group three is the fire to group two's water. Oh, thank you, Lexi, for sharing the deck with Nadia. Anna says feeling siren vibes from her. Yes, very much so. Nobu says group one, we will hold the fort while you're busy dying and being reborn. I love this idea that all three groups are like related in a way. Oh man, that just my heart, my cold heart. No cap. I fucking love that. Yes. Noe says I ain't gonna lie in response to Anna saying feeling siren vibes, freed from desire, your intentions purified. Can we play that too? Big Ashe on that one. Ashe on the bidet. It takes a village. Then we have a Golden Girls gift. Yes. Nobu says to host a funeral. Ashe, yo, all these polarities. I love it. I love it. It does kind of feel collaborative too. Sorry. I didn't know if somebody had something to say and I cut them off. Yeah, it does feel like there's something about each of these reads that is collaborative. I will say that you could also very well be part of all three of these readings can relate to you. Like group one could be like how you relate to like your social body. Group two can be like your romantic relationships. Group three could be like your spiritual work. So yeah, definitely feel free to take from each group what you need. But yeah, group three, this is feels very victorious. This idea of like temptation being in reverse. I think that kind of describes maybe group three, you guys have been working with things like that, like temptation, addiction, um, this obsession with the material, this obsession with tempting the I almost feel like this card relates to is like the obsession with delusions and wanting to master delusions as opposed to wanting to like master your own self. So it's really I feel related to like a clarification of like of what role you play group three, like what role you play in like other aspects in your life and how like this embodiment of temptation doesn't really do the job, doesn't really do the trick, doesn't really touch on the vastness that you embody. And so for me, this temptation card in reverse, followed by Oya directly after, speaks to even this like really like poignant switch of colors from like this green to this red speaks to like rooting down all of these like ephemeral, even I'd say disembodied energies and rooting them into the earth, like recapitulating and remembering like your purpose, so to speak. So Oya here represents strength, and Oya also is wow, there's so much I could say about Oya, but I'm just gonna read what the booklet says because yeah, my personal relationship with Oya is different. Or it's I should say reflects my personal relationship with Oya, not just different. Um, but I'd love to say what the book says about her. We have Oya, who represents strength. Oya, the Yoruba goddess of the Niger River, is considered a patroness of female leadership and strength. Because of this, women will often ask her for the right words to gain power. Whew. The meaning of this card: the strength to create peace between opposing forces. These forces may be inside you or personified in a situation. Tame them. You have the strength. In reverse, this card represents discord, imbalance, and valuing lower energies over the higher. Wow. Ho, ho, ho. Ho. Mm. I really love that this card speaks to the patroness of female leadership and strength, and how she's called on by women to offer the right words to gain power. That's really poignant because I also feel like hmm, there's something coming through for me around this. I just kind of want to hold space for it. Yeah, I do get the sense for group three that Oya is here to represent the type of strength that it takes to take up one's mantle. In other words, like fulfill and take up room in one's like destiny. Um, Not only does she represent the strength that it takes, she also speaks to like the patroness of female leadership. And so whether you are a female or a male, taking up your rightful place in a position of leadership is not for the faint-hearted. And I think Oya is here to remind those in Group B that there is a life outside of like temptation. There's a life outside of desire, from like the lower self, so to speak, or an integrated perspective, especially with the polarity of these two goddesses, right? Um, and I think both of them serve their purpose, but I also feel like what Oya speaks to is this lineage of leadership that um, speaks to also like a reservoir for group three, like this access point, whether it is through your work with Saturn, whether it is through your own internal refinement, whether it is looking at the things that tempt you and being like, this shit ain't really that sexy anymore. Um, you will have moments this month. And as Saturn does its thing, that help you recognize um, what your strength can be best used for. And also, you also might find opportunities to like release the trappings of like old timelines and the type of bullshit that gets you caught up in that lower expression of self. Um, I also get the sense that group 3, it's this month is going to be about moving from desire and like longing to actualization, implementation, and execution when it comes to the different places in life that you are taking on a leadership position. Or if you already have a leadership position, you might be seeing yourself in a new way in that leadership position. Um, so, yeah, group 3. Is there anything else to say on that? I feel like overall, each group has something to work with. Um, there is also something I feel like is important to say about each group, which is like, I mean, all the groups, which is basically just like what I said earlier, right? Like the cosmic weather is going to be doing its thing. And so if you need to come back to this reading, please feel free to do so. Um, yeah. And lastly, I'd like to check in with everyone who's here. Um, yeah, Saturn's going to be in retrograde for a few months, Nobu says, I think until November. So yeah, these themes also might come up. Yeah, that's what was coming up for me. They might come up in future readings, like future field tunings, which I'm totally fine with. So yeah, thank y'all so much. Woo. Mm, wow. I'm feeling pretty okay. Thank you for asking, Nobu. Yeah, there was a part of me that wanted to hold space to do energy work after this reading, but I feel pretty full. um, and yeah, I want to thank y'all for being here and joining Field Tuning Live. Um, for those who are listening to the recording, thanks again for listening, and I will be here again next month, the first Monday of the next month in August. I'll promote it so y'all will see it, but I'll be here next month pulling cards just like I was today. And I hope y'all have a beautiful month, and I'll see y'all around. Peace.